The film opens with a man running desperately through a forest. He is running from something. The man passes a series of numbered signs that read, "Point of no return." The sun is setting, and above the sinister-looking trees, all the birds frantically flee the forest. The man starts to climb one of the trees. He knows he needs to get off the ground. One of the needle-like barbs protruding from the tree breaks, and the man comes crashing down onto the forest floor, severely injuring himself in the process. Moments later, the man is dragged into a dark pit by some kind of predatory creature. We don't get to see what's been hunting him, but the man's reaction to seeing the creature heightens the suspense. Next, we meet Mina, the film's protagonist. Mina is a young artist from America who lives on her own in Galway and works at a local pet store. The owner of the pet store asks Mina to deliver a golden conure to a zoo near Belfast. He says that he is sorry to ask her to do this now, but he thinks the Irish countryside would be good for her. Mina says she's fine and takes the bird. We find out that it is the 15th anniversary of Mina's mother's death. That night, Mina goes out to a bar. She wears a dark wig to conceal her blonde hair and uses a fake name, pretending to be someone else whilst chatting to a stranger at the bar. From the information we have on our protagonist so far, it's clear that this is a person who is very lost. It seems that Mina is trying to run from her past and recreate herself. She even tells the bird that no one would like the real Mina. Mina and her feathered friend embark on their trip to Belfast. Along the way, Mina's car breaks down on the forest road after her radio display starts glitching. Mina tries to call for help, but there is no signal. Mina takes the bird, which she names Darwin, and goes looking for help. Mina tries to locate her car in the road, but she can't find it. It's as if the forest is an endless loop. The forest is growing darker by the second, and the birds have fled their perches. Mina spots a gray-haired woman running through the forest and chases after her. Mina calls for help, but the woman keeps running, as if she's in a serious hurry. The old woman arrives at a strange house and tells Mina that if she wants to survive, she must come inside immediately. The old woman slams the door behind Mina and bolts it shut as soon as she gets inside. Inside the house, there are two other young people, Ciara and Daniel. They introduce themselves to Mina, and the old woman tells her that her name is Madeline. The interior of the little house, which is referred to as the coop, is sparsely decorated with a rug, a television, and some furniture. One of the four walls is a large one-way mirror. A disturbance outside the building triggers its residents, and without any explanation, Mina is told to line up with them in front of the mirror and say nothing. Mina is told to walk forward to present herself to the watchers. She hears what sounds like applause coming from the other side of the mirror and is told that the watchers are happy that she is here. Still confused and a little terrified, Mina is told to act natural while Daniel performs a playful skit for the entities behind the glass. The following morning, Mina insists that she is leaving the coop. Madeline catches up with her and explains that the forest causes hallucinations and that no one has ever survived a night in the forest. She also tells me that a man called the Professor built the coop and placed all the signs around the forest, but no one knows where he is now. Mina learns that Daniel and Ciara have been trapped in the coop for several months, and it is uncertain how long Madeline has been there. Every night they must line up by the mirror to be observed by the watchers. She is told that survival in this forest is based on a few simple rules. Don't stray past the points of no return. Don't stay out in the dark. Stand ready to greet the watchers every night, and do not open the door after dark, no matter what. We also find out that Ciara arrived at the coop with her husband John, but he left to try and find help after a few weeks and never returned. We then learn how they survive in the forest. Each of them have their own roles. Daniel is the hunter and Ciara is the forager. One day, while foraging together, Ciara shows Mina a strange burrow in the forest. Ciara tells her that these burrows are scattered all over the forest, and that it's where the watchers go to hide from the light during the day. Over the next days and weeks, Mina grows suspicious of Madeline, and wonders if she might be tricking them into staying at the coop. She spends her time re-watching the same episodes of a reality dating show, as they are the only DVDs available to play on the television. Mina questions all of Madeline's rules and wants to know why they are being observed by the watchers and what their purpose is. Madeline tells Mina to accept her new life here and that there is no escape. Mina eventually convinces Daniel to help her investigate a mysterious burrow in the forest, which Madeline has given her strict instructions to stay away from. Daniel helps lower Mina into the hole with a rope, and she discovers a bizarre collection of artifacts. She sees a picture of a man who she thinks could be the professor. She also retrieves an old bicycle which she wants to use to help them find a way out of the forest. Mina gets spooked when she sees a watcher lurking in the shadows of the burrow. The watcher moves towards her and reaches out to grab her but cannot extend its arm fully into the light. Mina notices that the watcher has 6 fingers, and Daniel quickly pulls her up to safety. Madeline is furious with Mina and says that the Watchers will be angry. That night at the coop, they hear a knocking at the door, and a man's voice calls out asking to be let in. The man claims to be John, but the video feed that Daniel set up earlier only captures the man's bare feet. Ciara is convinced that it is her husband, but Madeline forbids her from opening the door, saying that the Watchers are mimicking John's voice and appearance. When Ciara asks the man outside a question, only her real husband would be able to answer. The man cannot answer, and tries to make an excuse, but he, or rather it, has been found out. Ciara asks to see the man's face and he obliges, revealing the splitting image of her husband. Suddenly, the man is pulled into the darkness. Immediately after this, there is a loud banging on the mirror and it cracks, as if the Watchers are trying to break through the glass. Madeline stands in front of the others to shield them, and the banging stops. The following day, Madeline throws the bicycle back into the pit and demands that Mina obey the rules. Mina agrees, and a memory from her childhood is triggered that reveals how her mother died. Mina had been ignoring her mother by keeping the window open during their car ride. Her mother got frustrated and turned around to discipline Mina and accidentally swerved into another vehicle. Mina is still carrying this guilt. She feels responsible for her mother's death. Winter arrives and tensions are high as the days get colder and shorter. Food becomes increasingly difficult to find, and Daniel appears to be spiraling out of control. One evening, as it is getting dark, Daniel locks Madeline and Mina out of the coop. They take cover under a rotting tree trunk in the hope that the scent will mask them from the Watchers. This is the first time we get to properly see the figures of the Watchers. They are lanky and demonic-looking creatures. The Watchers notice that 2 people are missing from the coop and scatter in search of them. Mina and Madeline rush back to the coop to beg Daniel to let them in. Mina manages to convince Daniel to open the door by sharing the story of her guilt over her mother's death, saying that he'll never be able to live with himself if he lets them die. Daniel lets them in, and they stand in front of the mirror to try and fool the Watchers. Madeline tells the others what the Watchers truly are. Madeline used to lecture mythology and history and came to the forest on her own accord, knowing what lurked in the shadows, out of a desire to learn more about the mythological beings. She never realized how dangerous this place was until she got here. One evening when she was returning from a hunt, she saw herself, not a perfect copy, but something close. The Watchers are said to be changelings, an ancient species of fairies that possess the power of mimicry. Thousands of years ago, they lived amongst mankind. However, a great war led to the changelings being banished to the forest and trapped there forever under a spell. Suddenly, there is more banging at the door, and the coop's inhabitants can hear their own voices coming from the outside. The Watchers are clearly angry and trying to break into the coop. Daniel finds a trap door under the rug, and they descend into the shelter to take cover from the Watchers. The shelter is stocked with food and equipment and sealed off from the coop above. Mina finds a computer that has the professor's video journals on it. By watching the journals, they learn that the professor's name was Rory Kilmartin, and that he first came to the forest in 1979 to study the Watchers. His colleagues thought he was crazy, and so he continued his work in isolation. The professor regrettably explains how he built this bunker with the blood of lonely and outcast men from nearby villages. He would invite the workers to have dinner in the forest after work, and watch to see how the Watchers dealt with them from the safety of the bunker. The professor recounts how one day he came across a Watcher that was in the form of a young girl. This creature was special and could come out during the daytime. He lured the creature into his bunker and locked it in a cage so he could try and establish communication. Understanding the changeling's power to take on the appearance of others, Kilmartin wanted to use the changelings to cheat death and replace lost loved ones. However, Kilmartin struggled to live with the guilt of his horrific actions and felt that his work had achieved nothing. He says in the journal that he is going to kill the captive changeling and then take his own life. He explains that if anyone finds this recording, they should go to his office and destroy all his research so that no one ever meddles with these creatures again. He also explains how to escape the forest by following the birds to a lake where he has stored a boat. The video journal ends as we see Kilmartin disappear up the ladder into the coop before we hear 2 gunshots. The next morning they set out in search of the boat. On their journey they come across a large circular stone in the ground with engravings on it. Madeline explains that this is where the last of the changelings were imprisoned. Even though they managed to find a way to surface eventually, they cannot go into the light due to a magic spell. They continue their search for the boat. The sun starts to set, and they follow the birds as they flee the treetops. They make it to the water's edge just in time and rush to the boat. Daniel stays back because he hears John's voice and believes that it is him. Daniel goes back to help John, but is killed by a changeling that immediately takes on Daniel's form. The others escape in the boat. Madeline, Mina, and Sierra row their way to civilization and catch a bus back to town together. Mina goes to the university where Kilmartin used to lecture and poses as his niece so that she can destroy the evidence. Mina finds documents and a recording that details more information about the existence of half-blood children. She also finds pictures of Kilmartin with a woman who looks exactly like Madeline. The woman is Kilmartin's wife, who died many years ago. Later that evening, Mina goes to Ciara's house to share the news of her discovery. She tells Ciara about the half-blood children who are able to go out during the day and believes that Madeline is not who she says she is. Mina tells Ciara that Kilmartin must have been trying to replace his wife with the half-blood changeling that he captured by training it to take on her likeness. Mina thinks that Kilmartin never managed to kill the changeling that night when he disappeared up the ladder, and now they've helped it escape by leading it to the boat. A car pulls up in the driveway, and we see Ciara getting out of the car. Mina realizes that the Ciara she has been speaking to is actually the half-blood changeling that had been posing as Madeline. The changeling knocks the real Ciara out and takes on Daniel's form. The changeling takes on Kilmartin's form before taking on Mina's form and tells her that they just want to return to civilization and live in harmony with mankind. The changeling is about to kill Mina, but she urges the changeling to seek out the rest of the half-blood children and bring them out of their prison so that they can be free. The changeling takes Mina's advice and grows wings before flying away into the night. Ciara regains consciousness and isn't hurt too badly. Later, we see Mina reuniting with her twin sister. There have been clues about Mina's sister throughout the film, but it was never mentioned explicitly that they are twins. Mina tells her sister that she's ready to forgive herself for her mother's death and move on with her life. The film ends as we see the changeling in the form of a young red-haired girl on the street, looking up at Mina's sister's window. And with that, the movie ends. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you could hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.